Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the new show. This is the trans agenda. It says it up there. Um, Hi, my name is Ashley Nova. I am a trans woman, and I stream here on Twitch. And I'm joined by the wonderful Distracted Elf.
That would be me. Hello, I'm Distracted Elf. I also am a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
We got together one day and we're like, we talk about a lot trans stuff, and you know what's super relevant to us? Trans stuff.
Yes.
So maybe we should just do the talking like together instead of separately.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, this show was born.
Well, maybe there was a little bit more organizational stuff in there for that, but yes,
I don't know.
that's pretty much it.
Mostly from you. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
So here we are. I think it's important to note, of course, before going into anything at all, that everything that we say about stuff that we know about is from personal experience, generally.
Mm-hmm.
And as such, may not reflect directly upon your own personal experience, even if you are also trans or dealing with these issues in some other way or what have you. Things are personal, and you may relate to some of them and you may not relate to some other ones. That does not mean, our words are not universal truth. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. We are both trans women, and that is where our experience lies. We don't have we're not going to be able to tell you what it's like to be a trans man or a non-binary person, but we can definitely share our experiences of the world. And so this week, we decided it would be best to start sort of at the beginning, and talk about coming out and what it's like to come out to friends and to family, and to sort of tell the stories that we have from our experiences.
Heck yes. The start at the beginning is always a good place to start.
Yes. Unless you're doing the weird like start in the middle thing.
Well, I mean, look, we can't in medias res the trans experience, okay?
Probably not.
It's much harder.
Yeah, much more difficult.
All right, but I mean, we both have experiences coming out, I assume.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know personally much about Ash's, so I'm excited to hear Ash's experiences in this. But starting at the beginning.
Yeah. Like, who was the first person you came out to?
Like the first person ever?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, because there's like the first person, and then there's like the really important time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like those are always different, to a certain degree. Like, for me, I think it was like a bunch of friends, one by one, when I was in college, and like maybe high school to some degree. Though I never said like I'm trans. It was just like a lot of like.
The weird. I have all of these feelings, and
yes, I don't really know what's going on, but I trust you with my heart. So just take these vulnerable feelings of mine, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think probably like early college years, I came out to some of my friends. I was a big nerd, and was in like the anime club at the college, and it was super easy to sort of just like talk to people who have that same, stranger outside experience with like regular social stuff. I remember I did a lot of like, okay, I'm going, we take the same bus home and we talk on the way on that bus, and cool, it was a good conversation kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. It's that kind of thing. I couldn't tell you a specific story. All I know is that like it was just scattered sort of testing of the waters in various
I get you.
in various venues. Yeah. How about yourself?
So I don't know if it really counts, because I didn't know I was trans until I basically just had like the lightning bolt.
Yeah,
Oh wait, shit! That's what's going on. kind of moment. And I had that in. I was staying at my fiance's like dorm room at university, and we were talking about one of my good friends who's also trans. I had the night before gone to the university fetish night, which was great. I wore a schoolgirl outfit because why not?
Solid, good choice.
And my friend who is trans had spoken to my girlfriend and said, "Hey, has your partner ever considered that they might actually be trans? You know, they do all this wearing of ladies' clothes all the time, and have they thought about that?" And so Sarah says this to me, and I'm sitting there, I'm sitting on her bed, and she's at her laptop, and I'm like, oh yeah, that might be a thing.
All right, that, yep, totally.
Yeah. Cue 3 hours of crying.
Aww.
Just from everyone.
Yep.
But it's kind of weird. I think I've been told by my therapist that I have an atypical narrative. In that I had no idea until I was like 22, and then I was like, oh yeah, no, that makes 100% sense.
I think this is probably right that that's fairly atypical.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case for me. I definitely, like, throughout my adolescence, you know, high school and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely knew some shit was going down. That's for sure. Like, that stuff was not happy or good in my life. I had no idea what it was, but you know, looking back on it, I'm like, I could have solved all my problems with this simple piece of knowledge that I had. I would have been so much happier. But yeah, it was definitely not like, hey, yeah, oh, suddenly this. Though there is that moment of like, oh, okay, that's the thing. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of trans people have. I think most people have the moment when you realize, oh, this is a thing I can do. Like, this is a thing I can actually like change about my life right now just by making a decision.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that thought process, I don't know, comes from the idea that, like, when you're not necessarily in control of your own quote unquote narrative, like, you don't know that you can pursue these options. You have heard that these things are deviant and strange. Or your family is like very against the idea of these things, or you've heard your dad talk about how that's nonsense and people who do that are crazy or whatever. And
exactly.
You immediately like discount these things and like drive them out of your head. I mean, that's what I did. I'm not saying that that's what happened to me, but I am definitely saying that I was like, no, I can't do that. That's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, and here I am now, having done the thing.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
Being better for it. So, what about family, Ash? I'm very interested in family.
So...
Yes, because I have great stories about family, but I want to hear yours.
I have some interesting stories about family. I came out to all the sort of like crucial members of my family separately. So I came up to my mum first, and I did this in an incredibly roundabout way. In that,
okay.
I was just talking to my mum, and I mentioned, oh, can you remind me later I need to book a doctor's appointment. Just to break the ice on the conversation. And she's like, oh, what do you need to go see the doctor for? And I'm like, maybe like just some just mental health stuff, you know, go and chat with my with my GP about something. And my mum gets that like super worried like mum look on her face.
Yep.
and is like, "Oh, is it something serious? Do you have depression?" And I'm like, "Okay, this is my in." And it's like, "No, I'm probably just gonna gender is a thing, and maybe I'm just gonna go and see if I can, I don't know, talk about It was incredibly awkward. I could
It
not.
Sounds so amazing.
It was incredibly awkward.
Yeah.
Not as awkward, however, as when I came out to my dad.
It's always a tough one.
Yeah, that's
that was my hardest one too, definitely.
Me and my dad don't, we get on, but we don't have a very strong emotional connection.
Yeah.
And so trying to explain to him that I have all these feelings was an incredibly difficult moment for me.
Yeah.
And my mum was there as moral support. She brought my dad into my room.
Yeah.
To be like, Ashley has something she needs to tell you, with old name pronouns, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And by this point, I'd already been out to some university friends and Sarah, and I was already experimenting with makeup and painting my nails and all of that shit.
Sure, you sort of by this point, by the point you're telling your family, you're sort of sure that this is your avenue and this is what you want to do, and you've already done a bunch of stuff. I get it. Yeah.
So my dad comes into my room and he looks at me and he goes, "Why have you painted your fucking nails red?" And I'm like, well, if you're gonna be blunt, I'm gonna be blunt.
So here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Oh, God.
And that kind of ended up being my tactic for a lot of coming out, was just to be blunt and upfront about it. Just be like, this is the thing. I'm transitioning. This is what my new name is going to be. And I didn't come out to many more people in person. It was more, it's coming up to, I'm gonna get the Facebook memory in 2 weeks or something, of the 200 line Facebook post.
You did that too. Yeah, I did
that
I
put on Facebook, and I was just it's out there now. I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I am done.
In that same vein, the idea of the Facebook coming out thing, where it's you know what, I don't want to have this conversation 1,800 more times. It's emotionally heavy enough, these 4 that I've done or whatever. So you know what, I'm just gonna post on Facebook, "Hi, so if you don't know, this is a thing that's happening. If you want to still, message me and stuff, here's my new Facebook. Hit me up there." Cool, done.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family stuff was fairly good. I mean, I was in a relationship at the time when I sort of figured out this was the thing I wanted to do, with a lovely fellow. But his reaction to me coming out was not so favorable. It was a knee-jerk negative reaction. But, we were both under a lot of stress, so to speak, from this whole thing, and it was pretty bad. Basically, it was well, we can't do this anymore. And I'm like, oh, good, yeah, okay. Well, now I know where I stand, I guess, in this relationship. So I tell you what, I'm gonna move out tomorrow, and go back to my parents' place.
Yeah.
And then that forces the issue of saying to my parents and talking to my parents about why all this happened.
Yeah.
I kind of got pushed into it a little bit, because when I decided I was, coming out and, I was trans and I needed to do these things and move forward with my life, sort of thing. Some people find it more comfortable to go a foot at a time and try a thing and see, and then be male sometimes and female others, and with certain company and different people, and I couldn't do it because I didn't want to send any kind of mixed message at all, ever, you know what I mean? And I get that sometimes it's for safety and what have you, and I'm not criticizing anyone who does that. That's entirely a valid way of going about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a person that jumps in with both feet and, you know, deals with it all up front as possible.
Yeah.
So I was basically like, yeah, this is the thing, full time, right away, 100%. I've made my decision, and
yeah.
I go through awkward second adolescence, you know. Yeah, but so I went back to my parents' place, and it was like the middle of the week, and I like never go and visit my parents, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a thing that doesn't happen. It's like the middle of the week on a Wednesday at like 1 p.m. and I show up from the bus at my parents' place, having texted my mom being like, hey, I'm gonna come over, is that okay? Like, can we have lunch or something? And she's like, yeah, all right. But when I get there, she's like, what kind of bullshit is going on? Because you never show up at 1 p.m. in the middle of the day for like food. Like, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That's fine. Let's have this conversation. So it was my mom and my youngest sister sat down on the couch, and I told my sad story, so to speak. It's always like really, really, really emotional moments, and even thinking back to it, I can feel my past anxiety from that. And I knew my parents would be okay. I knew my family would be okay with it because they're supportive and, you know, loving and amazing, and just generally the best family somebody like me could ask for, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's still crazy nerve-wracking. But so came out, told them everything that was going on, and was a little bit worried about how my sister would react. Though her reaction was more like, what? Like, I cannot believe this is a thing you are telling me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because I never did all the preamble, so to speak. I was never like into things that were considered quote unquote feminine, and so I just didn't take very good care of myself because I hated myself, you know. So I was gross. But how did it go? So we get to the end of the conversation, and my dad's due home like at some point soon, and so that has to happen as well. But so there's this end of the conversation, and my sister goes, and there's this dramatic sort of like silence, and then she goes, "Never knew what to get you for Christmas before, but now I know." Problem solved.
Yeah.
Know? Just breaks this like super dramatic moment with this awesome like levity of a family member who cares about you, sort of thing. And then I was being all dramatic about like, well, I gotta tell Dad, you know, and we gotta have that conversation. And my sister was like, okay, so we're not gonna do this now. Like, you're gonna come with me. We're gonna go get some food somewhere or something. We're gonna like drive around and get some food. And then once Dad is home, Mom will have a chance to like brief him, and then we can like move forward through this thing. And I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds great, thank you. My heart is beating through my goddamn chest, you know. And so we just like wasted an hour, and we came back, and I expected my dad to have been home already, but he wasn't. And we came back, and then he walked in the door behind us like 2 minutes later, and I just had to do it.
Yeah.
So, was I more worried about Dad? I was, I think, more worried about my dad. I think that's just like a general thing that people, I don't know. There's like the whole, I was the only son, quote unquote, of the family, and there's that whole thing. But my dad's a great guy. And he had a little bit of a harder time with it, but he accepted it. And at the end of the conversation, he was basically like, I think I'm taking this pretty well, you know, like that's what he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, Dad, you are. Well done, thank you. We'll move forward with this stuff, and we're still, you know, my family's great. My dad gets on stream every December and hangs out with me for a day or something when I go back to visit. So, you know, it all turned out well. And they ended up getting back together with the boyfriend that I moved out of. There's a whole thing. There's a whole thing.
There was a whole thing there.
Family went well for me. Family was good for me. Not really much of a problem.
I don't think there was much. My brothers were both I think they both just shrugged it off. I don't even think there was any like dramatic, oh my god, I can't believe this moments. They were just like,
Yeah.
Okay, sure, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. I mean, however it goes.
I think the only thing that went poorly, I did a couple like my nan and granddad on my mum's side, were both amazing and like really really supportive.
That's good.
But there is a ton of like family drama on my dad's side, and like I could a topic I could go on for hours about all of the bullshit that has happened on my dad's side of the family, and my granddad, my dad's dad, I don't know if he actually personally took it badly or he just used it as an excuse, but on Christmas Eve, so I came out, I did like my Facebook post a couple days before Christmas Eve, and at this point I hadn't spoken to my granddad in like 3 or 4 years. He hadn't made the effort to like come and talk to me at all, because they'd moved to the other side of the country and my dad wasn't speaking to them regularly.
You're just separate from them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I don't need to call them and like tell them this personally. Like we don't have that kind of relationship anymore. But I'm out at a friend's house on Christmas Eve and I come home and my dad is like incredibly angry. Like my dad has a bad temper. Okay. And he is really really freaking angry. And it turns out my granddad had just phoned up, kicked shit off because why didn't I call and tell them personally that I was coming out as trans and all of this stuff. And it just blew up into a whole thing, and none of us have spoken to my dad's dad in 4 years since then. Oof. Like it's just gone no contact since then.
Sorry to hear that.
There's been like I've spoken to my cousins on that side and they still speak to him, and they're always like, well, you should just apologize to Ashley and her dad and like
move on
move on, but he's just like too stubborn about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
It's not really that big of a deal.
It's not a big deal.
To
like
you, personally.
I'd already been estranged to him at that point.
And so one more step of separation is not heartbreaking.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're talking about grandparents, and it made me think about my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Now I only have like my dad's side of the family. They're gone. You know, mm-hmm. they've been gone a few years before all of this. But my mom's side of the family, my granddad's still around. But he lives in England, you know, like
mm-hmm.
far away from us. And I never thought it would necessarily be a thing that I would have to worry about. As
mm-hmm.
you said, like there's nothing that I need to do to appeal to this person, who I don't see, and who I like and who is great, but who I don't see. You know, it's not important. Okay, side note. My mom is a lovely, awesome person and super, super great, but she has this thing she does where she just outs me to everyone she knows.
Oh, it's the worst.
Like she loves me so much and wants to like share my experience with people and stuff,
mm-hmm.
but everyone she talks to, she outs me to, like even in casual passing conversation with like customers or like, you know, just anyone in the whole world. Like it's crazy. And so of course she did that with my granddad. You know, she's like, well, I'm gonna tell granddad the news, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So she did, and my immediate response was like, oh crap, like he's an old guy, he's a little old fashioned
mm-hmm.
and stuff, and I'm expecting like, you know, some kind of response. And she's like, no, you know, he took it well. And then she handed me like a card, because I visited Christmas with my family, right?
Yeah.
She handed me a card, and on the card it had like signed by my granddad, my sister's names, and then my new name.
Mm-hmm.
So he just like accepted it. Like,
Yeah.
Straight away. And it was not what I was expecting, and it was a super little heartwarming moment, like, from somebody who I expected to be more of a problem.
Yeah.
So some people do just, like, surprise you, too.
Yeah.
Like, positively. I mean, some people surprise you negatively, which sucks. But some people surprise you positively, too. It does happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know. But yeah, my mom, she loves me, but she outs me to everyone.
Yeah. So on those lines, I used this tactically at one point with Sarah, in that I didn't know Sarah's family very well. Like, we had been dating for 3 years at this point. And I'd met her mum and dad a couple times and her brother a couple times. But I didn't feel like it was my responsibility to come out to her parents.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like pushed her a bit. Just go tell your mum and dad. Just you do that, and so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, to some degree, it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah.
Like, saves you the stress. Yeah. Family. How about that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other specifics coming out. One of the things that I do want to mention, just in general in this topic, because we are talking about coming out, and there are a lot of people who ask me these things, you know, when I'm streaming, and I'm sure you get it too, you know, people who ask like trans stuff, you know, and coming out always comes up as a thing, and everybody's experience with this is different. It is one of the most varied things that you can experience. You know, like I think everybody's like coming out story is always different, and this goes for like not just trans folks, but like everyone who's, you know, in the LGBTQ community. I'm sure like there's a lot of different coming out going on. I mean, but the thing that people say is like, oh yeah, just be yourself, just like tell these people and be yourself and be awesome, and like it'll be great and whatever. But I don't think that's the most important thing. I think the most important thing is making sure you don't die or aren't put into an unsafe situation, right? If you know someone's gonna take it badly and they have control over your life at that point in time, you're in high school or you know, like still growing up, and you don't have any money, and if they kick you out, you're screwed or whatever. Don't do it until later. You know?
Yeah, like
I hate this false narrative of like, yeah, just be yourself. It's 2017. Everybody can be themselves.
Yes.
It's easy for me to say this because I'm not a person who would ever be persecuted for being myself. Yeah, fucking. Anyway, sorry. I just got anything to say on that topic? I
think there is definitely a case of like make sure you're in a safe place. And I guess it's kind of hard for both of us to say that because we both live in predominantly liberal countries.
Yeah.
It used to be predominantly liberal country, but politics. But it's definitely a case of, especially in certain parts of the world, to make sure you're in a safe place. A lot of the advice you see around is to make sure that predominantly that you are like financially independent. Is if you think you're in an unsafe situation, if you're financially independent, if you can come out and if it goes badly you can just up and leave, then that's an option.
Then great, yeah.
Yeah, like Sith Master saying in chat, don't be a martyr. Like,
yeah, I mean, this even goes so far, like, you know, if we're talking like you're a kid in high school and you know what you want to do and you know that it's important to you and stuff and what have you. I wish I'd, you know, as many trans people say, I wish I'd done things earlier than I did, but there you go. If you know these things, but you're not sure how the response is going to go, I mean, just having a friend in your corner, you know, like even if it's just like the stress is going to be a lot, just have a friend with you, or like have someone you can go to their place or you know, like that kind of stuff is so important. Like just have a plan, you know. I think a plan is key to this whole thing. I don't know. It's a very personal topic. Lots of people ask for advice on coming out. I feel like it's one of those things where unless you know your experience far better than I can ever know your experience and what that will be like and how your friends and family are and what kind of place you live in and all of these things that like focus into coming out, right? It is by far one of the hardest topics to give advice on. That's for sure.
But if there was, let's try and narrow it down to like if there is one piece of like technical advice,
like technical advice,
like in the sense of like a lot of people just like don't know what to say.
Like explaining stuff to people who have not experienced such a thing, like you want like a piece of paper that you could read to like explain or
that kind of thing.
All right. I mean, I think the way it works best for me, and I've used the same like metaphor for trans stuff for a long time now. And it worked really well when trying to explain to people who aren't trans that you know, this is what it feels like and this is why I have to fix it, sort of thing. And so what I say is like, well, I start with like, you know, hi, you know, I'm coming out to you as trans, you know, sort of thing, like I'm a girl and you know, I'd like you to respect my pronouns and like moving forward, this is the name I'd like you to use and all that stuff. And then, you know, that's all the stuff that you just say. You just blurt out because you're nervous and your adrenaline is high, you know, and you just say these things. And then, you know, your parents hit you back, or your friends or your loved ones hit you back with like, but what does that mean? Right? Like, how is that? What is that kind of thing? And the way I've always done to explain it is like this. Imagine that you are wearing the most awesome pair of shoes in the whole world. They're super, super comfortable. They're like the best thing in the universe. Everybody thinks they're super great. Nobody can see a problem with them at all. They look like shoes anyone would be envious to possess. Let's be honest. But on your end, these shoes are really uncomfortable. They're like really tight and they pinch, and when you walk around, they hurt. And when you tell people that, like, yeah, I mean, they look good, but like they hurt, you know, they really hurt me. And it makes me not want to do things or go anywhere, because every time I'm walking around, I'm like, well, my shoes freaking hurt all the time. It's the only thing I can think about because my feet are killing, you know? And they look at your shoes and they say, no, it looks fine to me. I can't imagine you're having any problems. Looks great. And my shoes are fine. So I don't know why yours wouldn't be, right? And it's just that, like, it's just that desire to be comfortable. It's just that desire to remove those shoes and get a new goddamn pair. And that's, I don't know. That's pretty much how I've really always explained it. That's how I've pretty much always explained it. Because everybody can sympathize with the idea of shoes that suck. You know, and if you keep wearing them, like, you could survive, you know, you could be okay. You could totally live your whole life wearing uncomfortable shoes, but you would hate it. Yeah. You would hate it, and you wouldn't want to do anything or go anywhere or take care of yourself or socialize because you'd have to stand up and walk in your stupid goddamn tight shoes, right? Yeah. And it sucks. So that's, you know, that's my analogy. Yeah, cool. I'm stealing that. That's the... yeah, well, go ahead, please. Feel free. It's the one I've used for everything, basically, when it comes to, like, explain being trans to me. I'm like, have you heard about shoes? Shoes are a thing we all do. Yeah, so Small Cinder has said in chat, like, cis relatives. Okay, just basically explain all of gender theory to me, please. And I want to say, like, as a trans person, it's not your job to know
100% of all of the scientific papers that back up trans existence, and to be able to explain gender theory and all of that stuff.
I am not scientifically up to date. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I haven't done my research.
In especially on Twitter nowadays, Twitter is especially bad for this. There's this pressure for trans people to just know, as soon as they come out, 100% of all of the arguments that could ever be made against existing as a trans person, and it's rubbish. You don't have to know that, and it's a really good thing is just to, when you're coming out to sort of parents and people who might be older, is to just download a bunch of stuff that is like trans 101 shit and just be like, I'm trans, read this.
Funny story, I did that stuff with doctors. I did that with doctors.
Yeah, no, I had to do that as well.
Trying to get pills. Yeah, trying to get HRT or HRT meds. I went to like 14 different general practitioners. Got really good at pitching. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. Really good at being like, this is the way it is, friend. Anyway, sidetrack. That's not today's topic.
Yeah, not quite. So I think maybe we can moving on a little bit from coming out. Is there anyone who you came out to and it went really, really well, but then like down the line they just like didn't like click in their head? They were still like using your old name and not...
I mean, yeah, okay. So, yes, definitely. Do I know them all individually? No. Like, I don't. Yeah. Because those people don't make an effort to keep in contact with you, right? Once they've decided that you're not a person that they want to put the effort in to like socialize with, they're just not gonna keep in contact with it. They didn't for me anyway. My friends and stuff. I mean, my family still gets it wrong, but like they're trying real hard. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like they're making the effort, and that's fine. Yeah, my sisters are way better at it than my parents.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
Same. It still weirds me out when after 4 years, like my younger brother will introduce me to someone as, this is my sister Ashley, and I'm like, oh, you did say that. Yeah,
it's weird. It's cool, but it's weird.
Yeah.
The one for me was like the boyfriend I mentioned, right? Like, and this was just like a failing of our relationship in general. But like the initial reaction was really, really negative. It was just like, well, we can't continue because we were together, like guy and to guy, you know. Yeah. And he's gay, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you're gonna be a woman, then we can't be together, sort of thing. Yeah. And I'm like, that's fair. That's a reasonable reason for this to be a thing, and I'm not gonna, you know. I mean, if you don't want to try, then that just says what's going on. But it came back to like, no, I just had a negative reaction, like I want you back, sort of thing. And then we got back together, but it was never the same after that, you know. Like I'm not really sure what went on or whatever, but that was kind of just like, it devolved after that, you know. It just slowly got worse. And eventually we broke up, you know.
I had me and Sarah had like similar conversations in the, you know, we were in a straight relationship when we started dating, and she's always been a person who's like, yes, I'm bi, but I'd never consider being in a relationship with a woman. Like it was never on the board for her. And then, so me coming out kind of like shook her worldview in an unexpected way. And it took us a long time to be able to work through, like, this is how our relationship is like restructuring. Because we're now in a what is really a lesbian relationship, and like we've both grown as people. We're both very different from where we were like 4 years ago when I came out, which was, there was an interesting like couple months of trying to work out all of that stuff, and doubly so because like I came out in December, and then in February Sarah moved to America for a year.
Yeah. Tough.
It was not easy.
Tough times.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And the long distance thing is just like a separate issue entirely, right? Like,
yeah.
Apart from all the other kind of problems that there are, that in itself is like this huge chasm,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Not as huge as it used to be necessarily, but still huge,
yeah.
right? But I think essentially like the social groups I was running in, when I came out, were already like very queer, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of okay, you know. Generally people were okay with it, though. I have a unique experience, or I don't think it's unique. I'm sure there are other people who have had this experience, but I have the personally unique experience of having come out while I was a streamer.
So yeah, I was going to ask if we could talk about
my whole experience of coming out is documented. It's documented. You can go on my channel. There's still a video of me coming out to chat. Yeah, like coming out to.
I've never gone to watch it.
There is a video out there on my channel under like !! The talk in my chat, and it's a serious talk about coming out on stream, and like telling people how it is, and like who I am, and like what I need from them, and it's okay, whatever other stuff, right? Like all this other thing, and like I was a straight male white guy streamer, you know, for like a year or two before now. I've been out for like 3 years now, so it's been a while. But yeah, it's out there. And you asked the question about like people who didn't respect it and like you know, all that kind of thing. The thing that I remember is people said, "That's great, that's okay. We still love you, and we're really ready to support you," and then just never came back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing I remember the most. I remember, I love you, I support you, I'll help you. I'm really looking forward to seeing you be happier as a person. Never see you again. Which, you know, is fair. People want to watch stuff that they relate to. People want to watch stuff that that they're, you know, into. Maybe, you know, I was awkward. I was an awkward little adolescent trans person, you know, freshly hatched, so to speak. And there's just like a lot of awkward stuff about that, for sure. Like if you're watching from an entertainment perspective, I get it, right? Like I understand, I definitely see it, and like whatever, but it is a thing, right? Yeah, there's also a Kotaku article out there with my name on it, and it goes into, you know, that experience and so on. So it exists.
Yeah, I think there was maybe one person that really jumps to my mind that it took a while for them to get everything to click right, which was one of my uncles who, absolutely amazing bloke. He passed away last year, sadly, but one of the most like upbeat, positive people in my life. And it's the first time I'd ever seen like a side of him that like this side of him that I'd never seen before, in that I had gone to their house for my cousin's I want to say 18th, no, can't be 18th, maybe 21st, I don't remember. Gone there for my cousin's
some time ago.
Yes. And I was like, oh, this is like the first birthday party I'm going to, like, after coming out. So I wore a nice dress. I did my hair up and all of that. And I got a lift there with my granddad and my brothers. And we got there, and he, like, says hi to my brother, says hi to me, and dead names me. And, like, he knew everything that was going on. And I said, oh, that's not my name anymore. Like, my new name is Ashley. And he looks me in the eye and he says, not in my house, it isn't.
Wow.
And I was like, okay then. And I turned to my granddad and I said, can you take me home? And so we walked up the road. We went to the car.
Goodbye.
We got like, I wasn't even going to fucking deal with it. I was like, fine, if that's how you want to be, I'm not gonna stay. And I got in the car and I had my seatbelt on. My granddad was about to start the car and I saw him running out of the house. And he runs up to the car and he knocks on the window and I open the door and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And just like started like apologizing profusely. Like the man...
Yeah, but...
Yeah, like he it's almost like he didn't realize how serious it was until I told him, like, I don't want to be a part of this if you're not going to respect me.
Goodbye from my life.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to respect who I am, sort of thing. Like,
exactly.
And yeah, I think that's what you're seeing, right? Like that whole like, wow, I did not realize how serious this was actually response. Though in my experience, in my personal experience, and this isn't to say anything negative about your family or, you know, people that you know or anything, that negative knee-jerk reaction, that like first thing that people say, is usually the thing that they believe. You know, whether they backtrack and say something else after. It has never been in my experience that someone has backtracked on their own without like being taught, basically. And come to a conclusion that wasn't the first thing.
I think that was probably the teaching experience for my uncle. Like when he saw me just walk away, I think that's when he realized, oh wait, that was incredibly rude of me. And after that, like in my, like on my mum's side of the family, he was probably like my biggest supporter. Like he'd correct people if they used the wrong pronoun, and
I'm glad that your dramatic, like, sort of like reaction to such a thing may have spurred him into more positive behavior. And I think that's important. Like, you draw a line in the sand. You know what I mean?
I am a firm believer in like just going no contact on people.
I agree.
If they're like, you don't need the emotional like craziness of trying to convince people that you deserve to be a person.
No, that's stupid. But the thing that gets me, right, like, is if this person that you're talking to who has responded to you in a negative manner isn't willing to put in any effort for you, why the hell should you put any effort for them? Why should you be the person subjected to being dead named and stuff? Like, I get it if it's an accident and like we get corrections and it's all fine. Like, that's totally fine. I don't care about that. But it's like, oh, okay. So you don't want to put in any effort. You just want to be an asshole. All right, well, I can be an asshole too. Later, dick. You know, like, that's it, right? Like, when it comes to like willful ignorance, basically. Though it sounds like your uncle came around. Basically.
Yeah, he really did. It was,
and I'm glad to hear that.
There was a weird experience like a year later, at the same cousin's birthday party. And one of her friends was like a little bit queer, not like not just like had like this was before having like the side panel cut was cool. He had a side panel cut and had his hair done up all fancy, like one of those guys who wears women's jeans. And he just, like, my uncle just drags him over to me and says, "This is Ashley, she's trans, why didn't you, like, talk about things?" And I'm like, that's...
Yes, all queer people are friends!
Yes!
Be friends!
It was very...
The cis strategy. You are part of a minority! Other people of that minority will relate to you!
Exactly.
Kiss! Oh, that's so... Yeah, I've been in that situation too, like, so much so. I really, really, really understand that one. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I like coming out wise that is relevant stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think coming out wise, we've covered our own personal experiences. I think it's not exactly a long topic. It's one part of a larger journey.
Yeah, exactly. You will continue to come out many times over the rest of your life.
I'm still coming out.
Yeah.
You know, you meet new people in a community that you know don't know you or whatever, and congratulations, you get to come out again.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So I've definitely had some experiences with work. Like I work in academia. I'm a scientist, and I remember going to a women in physics and subconscious bias or unconscious bias workshop, and we were having there was a panel session afterwards, and I asked a question about LGBT people in science, and what can we do make trans people feel more welcome. And afterwards, one of the other PhD students in a different department to me, that I'd met a couple of times and hung out with at the pub and everything, came up to me and went, "Ashley, I didn't realize you were trans. I had no idea." And I'm like,
happens all the time. Yeah.
That's the good kind of, "Oh, I didn't realize you were trans." Oh, have I managed to pass my way through 4 months of interaction?
Also you wear it so much on your own sleeve, or at least I do. That I can't believe anyone looking at me doesn't know. You know what I mean? It's just you're so wrapped up in your own feelings about it, right? But that sounds good. I mean, that sounds like a positive experience.
Yeah. I think generally with work, I really do, like you said, wear it on my sleeve. I try and be, I try to be a role model. I want to be the kind of person that if there's a baby trans in the audience of a conference I'm at, can look at me and be like, if she can do it, so can I.
I mean, that's me in streaming. Cause I do the streaming thing professionally. It's my job. It's my income. It's my life. And I try and be that person who, if you want to hang out in a nice community full of queer people, we have one, lots of trans people in my chat and stuff. You know, and it's nice and it's cool and it's friendly. Oh, funny story. I got a funny one. So, a lot of people who meet me in real life these days, the new people that I run into, you know, because I do a lot of the LARP stuff, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people who meet me actually don't meet me. They meet a character of mine for the first time that they're meeting me. We'll be in game playing some kind of LARP game. It's always funny to, in character, respond with my aggressive and nasty witch when people misgender the character. It's the funniest thing because it's the kind of response I wish I could give, which is you what?
Yeah.
You know, but I get to do it in character, so there's this degree of separation, which is just really, really funny. I don't know, just just a thing. Oh, you misgendered me? Apologize now, or I start throwing very nasty spells at you.
Yeah.
Enjoy. You know?
So can I ask a question about LARP without the risk of us going down a 2-hour tangent?
Yeah, of course. I won't go down the rabbit hole, I swear.
So when you transitioned, you were already LARPing before then? Right?
No, actually.
Right, okay.
See, Montreal. In Montreal, I came out of Montreal and went through the initial processes in Montreal, right? And then I moved to Edmonton, and I was full time you know, I was Violet by then. And so moving to Edmonton was really good because it separated me from everybody who ever knew me as, you know, past person. And now everybody who met me or who would meet me knows me as Violet, you know, as I go into these new social circles and stuff. So it was kind of cool to have the ability to create only entirely new impressions. But yeah, that community has only ever known me as Violet.
Okay, yeah, I thought you had already been LARPing when you came out.
I did, but not in the same communities,
okay.
Right? So
sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I had a similar thing in that I moved to where I am now for my PhD about 6 months after I came out. So I was now I just have everyone I meet is gonna know me as Ashley. I have one colleague who's like one of my best friends who like still gets my pronouns wrong, and I'm like, I really like you, and you need to stop it.
Stop.
Just
grab them by the collar and shake them.
Yeah. But it's fine.
Yeah. Do you want to do some audience
interaction? Yeah, I feel like
dear Ash.
Yeah, I feel like we can wrap up with some audience questions.
I think that's a good call. Audience, dear audience. Now, we know you've all been very good, but we're gonna try and keep topic, right?
Yeah,
I think is the plan. So, if you wish to ask the expert panel of myself and Ash anything about coming out or you know, any questions that we haven't fielded already about our personal experience so that we may tell you, please enter your questions now.
That was really professional. That was a really good way to deal with the delay in the chat.
I said keep it to the right subject, Vorian. God damn it. Has there been talk about finding new names? Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, names are good.
All right. Ash, you go first. How did you become Ashley?
So when I was first coming out, I did the kind of like, I did a bit of tiptoeing, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like identify it as like non-binary and sort of genderqueer, or come out as a transgender woman. So I was kind of looking for like gender neutral-ish names. And then one of the things I did was I looked at the year I was born, and I looked at like the top baby names. And I wanted something with the same first letter as my old name.
Okay.
So I was like, and Ashley was like the #1 like girl's name the year I was born, which is weird because I'd never met a girl named Ashley before.
Well,
like the limit of people I knew, like females who I knew were called Ashley, was like Mary Kate and Ashley.
That's weird because I had like 4 Ashleys in my high school class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of like made sense. It was I danced around at like variants of that name for a while. I considered sort of the alternative like female spelling for it that is like the Leigh, but I didn't want to have to like spell that whenever I was on the phone. Be like, yeah, it's Ashley, but with the Leigh. Can't even remember it this time. And I thought about like Asha and Ashara, but I'm like, I kind of don't want to name myself after a Game of Thrones character. So I ended up settling on Ashley. It felt right when I saw it.
And it's good. Yeah. And it suits you. I like it.
What
not that my approval means, you know, anything. But Violet was the name that I settled on, and it is definitely more of a like, oh, she's trans name. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of you see it on a list somewhere. But, so basically how I did it was I took a bunch of names I liked. I just like a grab bag of names. And I threw them onto a piece of paper. And I handed that piece of paper to various friends. And I said, which name do you like? You know? And they went down the list and went like, this is good, this is good, this is good. If you name yourself this, I'll kill myself. You know, like various kinds of things. But the thing is, right, I also tried to avoid names that were names of girls that I knew, because I didn't want to look like I was stealing the name of somebody that I knew and talked to all the time, and I felt like that would be really weird. I had like this inner hang up about that. And so I only used names that I didn't know anyone named them that I liked. For instance, I was almost a Chloe and almost a Sarah, were the two.
Both good names.
Violet won out in the end, and I picked it off like the remaining 3 or 4 by the end of it.
Has anyone ever... Has anyone ever, and do you get really annoyed when people make Charlie and the Chocolate Factory references?
I mean, people have ever, obviously, but I don't really care. It's not. You know what? In terms of reference-wise, this name is far better than my old name. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. So there you go.
There is a significant problem with my old name, given the circles that we revolve around in that I hear it a lot. But there's not much I can do about that.
I understand. I have the same issue, but separately. But yeah, so those were my, that was my experience. I basically like crowdsourced my name.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it.
Which I also asked my parents too, because I think they deserve a minute input. They took it so well, like when I came out, that like I wanted to give them the opportunity also to like have input. I wasn't gonna let them choose, but they have input.
So did you take a new middle name?
No, I still have the same middle name. Yeah, I just kept it.
Yeah,
my middle name is Alan. Yeah, and
it's a good name.
The reason that my middle name is Alan and the reason that I kept it was because all of the male descendants of both lines of my family, like both my grandfathers and both their weirdly, all have the middle name Alan all the way down. So I was like, what? I'll keep it.
Yeah,
I'll keep it.
I thought about it, so my old middle name is Paul, which is my dad's name, and I thought about it and I was like, I kind of want to change it, but I also kind of feel like middle names are totally pointless.
Yeah, they are.
It
doesn't matter.
I was gonna ask my mum and be like, hey, like, I was gonna give my parents the option, like, do you want to choose my middle name, to like give them that kind of input. But then I decided no, that like the idea of a middle name is stupid. And when I like got my name changed officially, I was just like, nope. No middle name, gone. Don't have one anymore. Which some people find really weird. It's like a big thing in the UK.
I mean, my parents are both English too, right? Like British English. And so yeah, middle names they're a thing. They're as you said, they're a thing. Weirdly. Yeah. People were like, why don't you just use the feminine version of your name because one exists? Like it sounds exactly the same. Because I had one of those names that could be either.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but then I won't know if people are fucking it up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you know how I know when you're putting in effort? When my name is completely different and you have to do it then, like, if I leave it the same, it's just lazy for you. I'm like, no, you don't get the pass. You don't get the easy choice.
Yeah.
Never gonna happen, people who imaginarily persecute me. God.
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a desire to make things easy for people, but you don't have to do that.
You don't have to, yeah. I mean, you're welcome to if you want, but you don't have to. You really don't. All right, chat, what else you got for us? We did the names thing. Yeah. What else? What else you got? I am awaiting with bated breath your incoming questions. If you said them before, hit it up again, because it's gone now.
Yeah, I've just tried scrolling up and no.
Keeters, you were almost an Olivia? Damn. I know too many Olivias. I know too many Olivias. I know like 8.
I think I know an Olivier, not an Olivia.
You know an Olivier, okay.
Yeah.
Keeters asks Ash, how are we so cute?
You see, it's the magic of these little tablets. And they do wonderful
We'll talk about
things.
that another day.
Yeah.
That's different. It's a different thing. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just talking now. And I'm like, us being cute is not coming out material. I mean it is, but it's not also. may have addressed this earlier, but did you have something that broke the dam, so to speak? Oh yeah, like the aha moment. The aha, yes, that I'm trans, definitely.
Yeah.
I think you maybe touched on yours.
Yeah, I mentioned mine.
Story. For me, I mean, I had a couple of aha moments, some of them smaller than others. I had a small one walking the dog with my mom one day when I was like 16, and I was like, Mom, I think I might be trans. And my mom said, are you sure? Because that's really scary, and it's going to be a really hard road, and I really hope that's not the case. And I was like, well, no, I guess I'm not. Holy fuck, Jesus. You know? She was just trying to defend me. But,
yeah.
And help me, and she wanted to help, but that was the thing that happened when I was like 16. Then I was depressed for like 6 years of amazing suicidal garbage, which, you know, it happens. Like you it's a symptom, right?
Yeah.
Like depression can be a symptom of you know, gender stuff. Yeah, I know, technical, right?
Yeah.
But and then I was streaming one night and we were doing really well. We had lots of viewers, and I was like, all right, guys, it's time for a funny goof because we have loads of viewers and funny goof. So I like cross-dressed on stream. And there's a moment I went to the bathroom to like get changed, and I stepped out of the bathroom, and there's the light from the bathroom on the wall in front of me, and I saw just like the silhouette of my shadow on the wall, and I was like, okay, I gotta take a moment. We're just gonna take a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is real now. Okay, this is the thing I need to fix. And then, you know, had a great stream.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, no, that goof of, isn't it real funny, guys? If I like,
real funny. I mean,
it's real funny if I like wear girls' clothes.
Honestly, it's like a shitty, toxic, masculine way to like defend yourself from criticism of that, you know, like and shit. And I regret framing it ever in such a manner, but you have to get there.
Yeah,
you have to get there. So that was the thing. That was the thing for me.
So Focus Freeze asked a good question. How do you keep yourself safe when going out?
When going out?
When going out.
I mean, like partying, like going to clubs, dancing all night long. Best way to keep safe is go with friends, obviously. But this is like safe stuff for everybody, you know. I feel like when it comes to trans things, like know your audience, know your locale. Don't go to the local, you know, Nazi club.
Don't go to the local Nazi club anyway.
You know what I mean, right? Like, it's a matter of like assess your choice of venue and the people who may be in said venue that could cause you harm. I was being, you know, hyperbolic. Yes. Hyperbole.
You were in the hyperbolic time chamber.
I was in the hyperbolic time chamber. Yes. So it's about knowing your audience. It's about knowing your surroundings.
Absolutely.
And having people who like you be with you. That's my advice. I don't know if you have something else.
I think friends is definitely the most important bit, and I think you hit the nail on the head on being in the right places. It's really tough in certain parts of the world, in certain parts of some countries. I have had the pleasure of living in a university town and a commuter town since I came out, and both of them have been incredibly like liberal, so I've never had any I've never been like had abuse thrown at me on the street, so I can't really say this is how you prevent it because it's just never really happened. I've been catcalled. That's different, but
yeah. I mean, for me, I'm in the most conservative part of Canada. Basically, I live in Canadian Texas, otherwise known as Alberta. It is the, you know, the oil rigs and cocaine part of the country. I choose very carefully where I go and who I interact with and what I do, because there are parts of this town that are very much not a safe place for trans folks. That's for sure. So it is just a matter of community. Like, you can find community and stay safe even in dangerous places, It's just a matter of like searching that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What else we got? I'm excited to continue to answer questions. How was the goth club? It was great, by the way. I had a great time. Industrial music and goth people. Super fun.
That sounds amazing.
It was really great.
So
yeah.
The club I normally go to in my town is called Pink Punters. It is the country's largest gay club. It is amazing. It is so. It was the first thing I saw when I moved to Milton Keynes. I stayed in a hotel the first like few nights before I moved into my new house, and across the road was this enormous gay club. And it was just covered in rainbows, and I'm like, well, I think I'm gonna be all right here. Yeah. Then I learned that the gay club is not as gay as I want it to be because it's the only good club in town, so it's just full of straight people.
Yeah,
But that happens.
That happens, yeah. So their chat is all like, there's a great clothing question and stuff, but I don't see it. So can you?
Yeah, someone asked like, how do you go about like buying your first?
Oh yeah, I guess that's part of coming out. That's like their first, first stuff.
Number one, fucking Amazon.
Yeah, just the internet.
Get a tape measure, measure yourself, and then just go on Amazon.
That is not what I did though.
No, it's not what I did, but
yeah.
We exist in the world of Amazon.
The advice is good. The practical me and Ash versions of what we actually did, maybe not.
What you do is you click on my Amazon affiliate link underneath the screen.
Get out of here. Get out of here. We're just chilling. I just went to stores like that were very general. You know what I mean? Like I went to like Old Navy, you know, and bought a bunch of shirts for cheap.
Yeah.
And you know, I went to you know, places like that. Like places where I could feel that the least judged for walking into. And I still feel those feelings walking into like stores that are like woman centric.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I walk in and I'm like, I feel anxious for some reason, and like I deserve to be. You know, like there's no reason I shouldn't be there, but I still feel that. That is an experience you don't really get over super easily. However, take a friend with you shopping, preferably you know, a girl friend, who can help you and who knows the deal and who knows you're trans and like this is your first like supply of things. Have someone go with you and just throw things at you. That really helped me when I was starting.
So much.
I was like, please friend, come with me, and they're like, fine, I'll make you look okay, you know. I'm like, all right, thank you. And then I just like walked around and nervously stood in places while you know, people threw the clothing in my direction.
I still have,
try it on.
Even now, when I'm pretty confident going out and shopping for myself and buying my own stuff, I still have situations where I'm awkwardly standing in a shop and Sarah is picking stuff up, going, "No, that doesn't look good. No, that doesn't work," and just Sarah like shops vicariously through me.
Through you, yeah.
Which is very strange. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll try it on. Because I've definitely gone. When I came out, I went pretty hard femme. And
I think everybody does.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna buy dresses and skirts and like short shorts and all of that shit, and I looked terrible. I looked so awful. There are so many.
But you know what that is, Ash, and this is the thing that's something that I want to call out. That's teenage you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's teenage you picking things that you have no fucking idea what looks good on you, and being an adolescent, basically, which is a thing that like I think lots of trans people experience, right? Like where your first experiences are all very uneducated, right?
Exactly.
And like very haphazard, and you don't need to feel bad that that's the case. There is so much to learn. There is so much to learn, during your second puberty, quote unquote. And learning is part of the experience. I'm still shit at makeup. Still.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years. I've been trying to learn. Fucking sucks.
I'm at the point now where I'm fairly like confident doing my own stuff, like going out to a club, but I'm like, if I want to get better, I need to spend like £40 on a set of brushes and loads of makeup that is far more expensive than the shit I normally buy.
Yep.
Which is pretty good. I'm pretty happy at that point. Funny story. One of the things that came out when I came out and I transitioned, one of the best things for me were shoes, because I have really tiny feet.
Lucky.
I'm like a size like 4.5 in like UK sizes.
Ow. Okay.
I could not buy shoes before I transitioned because they did not do men's shoes in my size.
Wow.
I wore exclusively Converse for like 12 years. And then when I transitioned, I was like, oh my god, there are so many shoes I can buy.
I'm like a 9.5 or a 10. I'm like fucking jealous right now.
I could actually go to a shop and buy shoes, and it was the best thing in the world.
Ash, please. Please. Why? Yeah. Damn. I don't know how to follow that story up.
I don't know.
What else we got, chat? You got anything else? We're coming to the end of our business here, I think, for episode 1.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
I will happily field 1 or 2 more, questions, I'm sure. I'm having a good time, that's for sure. I like chatting with all you lovely people about things that are important to me. How do you handle long waits for medical stuff? Handling long waits for medical stuff is shitty. I agree.
Really shitty.
It sucks. There isn't really a good manner by which to handle these things. You either wait or you don't. You know what I mean? Like, these things are binary in terms of that there is one option and another option. I definitely took all the shortcuts that I possibly could, as hard as possible. I like proactively searched out doctors and like tried to get them to agree to give me things. You know what I mean? Like, I waited for like a year and a half to get on HRT. Like a year and a half from when I came out. It's just like this is pretty typical. To be honest, just like the number of trans people and the amount of doctors that deal with it, so forth. But what I did do during that time is I went to all the general practitioners' offices in Edmonton and like pitched, because I knew that legally they could prescribe me something, but that they didn't have to, and that they could choose not to. And so I got really good at pitching and eventually got my drugs before I would have, just by like, don't give up, keep asking. You need a thing, get a thing. You know what I mean? Like, go for it, drive for it, sort of thing.
Yeah, in the UK, we're in a weird position where, if you want like free healthcare, if you want to go through the NHS, then unfortunately you are stuck with huge wait lists, and it's a postcode lottery basically. If you live, depending on the part of the country you live in, you're looking at maybe a six month wait before your first like appointment at the clinic, to 3 years. There was a point where the Leeds clinic, the waiting list there was 3 years.
Yep, I know this feeling. There's only one gender psychiatrist specialist in all of Alberta that took trans patients for a while. Waitlist was like 2 years long, and he's retiring. So I don't know what is going on right now.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of options in the UK for going private. It's just it costs a lot of money. Though it's actually, I will say this: if you're in the UK and you're considering self-medding, which is not like I don't have the expertise to talk about it.
Yeah.
I will say it's cheaper to go private. It's actually cheaper to go to the private clinics and get an actual prescription than self-medding.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. It's just like how expensive some like Spyro is really expensive in the UK.
I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, country to country, this will vary as to like how your weight is and what that weight means and where you are and what the rules are and exactly. How open people are. I mean, informed consent is a great thing for people that have access to informed consent, and you can just go and sign away the whole like, we don't feel good about doing this because you might hurt yourself. It's like, I fucking know, you know, like so on.
Yeah,
great. I'm really happy for you, but like, we can only speak from our personal experiences as to like where we had this happen. Ofo, I'm just gonna quickly mention that the question that you said, like, did you take a lot of pictures of the when you first started transitioning? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Actually, self-esteem wise, it was one of the ways that I kept myself going. Take like 100 selfies a day and pick 3 that look fucking awesome, and then you're like, yes, good. I can face the day. I used to do that before streaming. Every time before streaming, I would take a bunch of selfies and find one that looked really good, and I'd be like, all right, I can do it. I can get on camera today and stream. I used to do that every day. I don't anymore, but I used to. Every day. It's a thing. It's, you know, whatever helps you, whatever coping mechanisms improve your day.
I think one good question to round things out at the end.
Yeah, let's do it.
From Question Emu. What can cis allies do to make coming out easier? Educate yourselves.
Yeah.
Fucking educate yourselves. And educate the people around you. This goes for basically every single type of prejudice. If you see someone being prejudiced, fucking call them out on that shit. If they're being transphobic or homophobic or racist or whatever, just call people out.
Because you have the power as a person of their peer group to make them listen to you. You know what I mean? To a certain degree. Like, if they hate trans people and they're being transphobic and they're being assholes to trans people, a trans person telling them that that's bad won't have as much effect, sadly, you know, because they already are being assholes to them. Won't have as much effect as if you, cis white ally person, go like, wow, you're an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain degree of like, we need your help, you know?
Yeah.
And also, yeah, listen to trans people. Trans people know about trans stuff. So education, so like learning about trans issues, real nice. Or if we're talking specifically about trans, like coming out and stuff, this goes for any kind of prejudice, really. But learn about the issues, use your privilege for good, not for evil, and listen to the people in the minority you are defending. So often I have seen allies jump on top of or over the voices of the actual people who are experiencing a thing, and that is not good practice. That is not good practice. You want to support them rather than yell over them. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's
yeah.
It's the only way I can really.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it.
Only way I can really describe it. But I think that's a really good place to like end our discussion for today.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think? So do you want to like do some shout outs here at the end? I know it's just you and me, but like, and we're the hosts.
Yeah,
we're the hosts, so to speak.
Yeah.
But good practice for shout outs.
Yeah.
I think
where can
is
people
key.
find you, Elf?
Where can people find me? Oh, well, they can find me over at twitch.tv/distractedelf or on Twitter @distractedelf, where I do all kinds of talking about all kinds of stuff. And if you have any trans stuff you want to talk about, or just, you know, talk with me personally, get on over there, be in the chat when I'm playing video games or whatever. I talk about this shit constantly. I'm sure people hate me for it by now. But it's there, and you know, you can do it. And what about you, dear hostess with the mostest?
Yes, you can find me right here. This is my channel, Ashley Nova. I'm on Twitter @Ashley_Nova_. One day I'm gonna get rid of those underscores. One day, Twitter is gonna release a bunch of unused usernames, and I'm gonna drop my underscores.
Yes.
It's not happened yet. But yeah, like Elf, I like to have my little community where we can talk about these kinds of issues. So if you wanna hang out here and ask questions in chat, or come hang out in the Discord and chat about things, that's really awesome.
So, relevant thing right here at the end, Ash.
Yeah.
I think our first episode went swimmingly.
Yes, absolutely.
First of all, maybe, you know, you cut this off of YouTube if you don't want them to hear it or whatever, but, you know, I think our first episode went swimmingly, and I'm looking forward to future episodes where we talk about other stuff, and also maybe have other people on the show.
Yes. I have ideas already of other people who we can invite on.
I feel you.
And
I also have many a plan. Although you're more the planner than me. I just show up. let's be honest. All right, cool. Yes. So expect future shows, my dear friends.
If you have suggestions for topics, like drop me a message on Twitter or on Discord or something, and we build up a nice long list of stuff that we can.
That you want us to talk about. We want to talk about things. You want to know what you want us to talk about.
Exactly.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you all later.
Yeah.
Dear friends, and thank you for coming.
Bye.